So he says that it's camp. And then, Sherry, if you don't find sonar noises from a royalty-free website, I can do it. What's good? Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of The Newest Olympian. My name is Mike Schubert. I'm the titular Newest Olympian. I am a 33-year-old man who never read the Percy Jackson books as a kid. I read them as an adult because I was determining if it was a book series that society had been sleeping on. I said yes, and now I'm seeing if society has also been sleeping on the Heroes of Olympus series, and I'm joined today by a very special guest, someone that I've known in the podcasting world for many a years, but this is their TNO debut. I am forever grateful to the podcasting comment that they made once on their podcast about Potterless, where they said, you know what show has sneaky good editing? Potterless, and it made my life. It's Wil Williams, the CEO of Hug House Productions. Wil, how's it going?
It's going so well, and also, I was right. It's great editing.
Thank you. There are certainly people who understand the amount of work that the power of me and Sherry on this podcast put into making it sound really good. Not as many people, I think, recognize it. And I think the point you were making when talking about Potterless is like, this is a silly little goofy show, but it's actually incredibly well edited. Whereas there's some other silly goofy podcasts out there where there's coughs and sneezes and XLR cables rumbling, and it's terrible. But I am a perfectionist, and I can't stand for that.
And it shows, and it pays off.
Yes. And the way it really pays off is when I receive my favorite comment, which is people listening to other shows and then commenting on some sort of TNO social media or the Discord or Patreon or whatever, and they will tell me, you have ruined other podcasts for me. And that is the highest praise I can ever receive. If I can make other shows unlistenable, it makes me so happy.
Truly, truly. And a pain I know all too well.
Look, it's tough. There are some shows even hosted by people that I really like, and it's just mouth sounds galore, and I can't do it. I can't do it.
Anti-ASMR. Oof.
Oof. So we're going to be talking about two fantastic chapters of the Mark of Athena, the third book in the Heroes of Olympus series. But before we get into it, Wil, it's your first time on the show. So what is your history with the Percy Jackson books and then also the Heroes of Olympus books?
I think I have like a fairly, and maybe not, you'd be a better judge of this than me. I think I have a fairly unique perspective on Percy Jackson or history with it.
Ooh, okay.
I did not read any of these books until I was in the summer of my sophomore year of college. When these books came out, I was deep in my Hunger Games phase. I was like a little bit past my series of unfortunate events phase, right?
Yep.
So my only exposure was seeing the movie.
Look, that's some folks' gateway into it. It happens.
Which is wild. There are some moments in that movie that I think were pretty good.
There are some moments.
Right.
And the second one, the first half, is very fun. And then it gets unhinged in a bad way.
I've never seen it, and now I have to.
It's an interesting one. And if you do watch it, I would recommend I'll send you the link for it, for the watch along that we did on the Patreon for it.
Please.
Get some director's commentary from me losing my mind. And for anyone listening, you can also do this if you just join the Patreon at any tier. You can get access to it. It's some good stuff.
Nice. So I had a very specific job the summer of my sophomore year of college. This was my first summer that I didn't go back to like my parents' house during college. I was living in a very notoriously expensive college town up in Flagstaff, Arizona, which was beautiful. And all I cared about was staying there for the summer. I just didn't want to go back. I just want to stay in my beautiful town. So I would take any job that occurred. And the job that I wound up with was working for kind of like the services at the university that would do like landscaping, cleaning up trash, shoveling snow, things like that. But my job, I was on this huge team where we would take all of these linens from like events that were happening on campus, and we would do the laundry and then package them back up and then deliver them. And this happened like all summer. It was things like the Cardinals, the Arizona football team, they train up in Flagstaff because the elevation is very high.
Oh, to make them better.
Yes,
Oh.
yes. We would also have the Australian rugby team and the Japanese Olympic swim team. I don't know which one.
Okay.
Bizarre. So we were washing like truly heinously repulsive linens. I'm sure you can imagine.
Yeah, at first when you said linens, I was like, oh, just many, many fancy dinner napkins. But
Oh,
now I'm realizing we're talking
no.
towels and bed sheets and gross stuff too.
Exactly. Exactly. Of like football players actively training in the Arizona summer.
Which, if anyone is unaware,
It's not
it's hot.
great.
It is a dry heat, though.
It is.
It is a dry heat. We have to legally say that.
You do legally. The good thing about the job is one, it was money, period.
That is great. I love
Right?
when a job has money.
I love when money. And then two, washing sheets and what have you takes a really long time.
Mhm.
And you just kind of sit there. So what I did is my roommate at the time convinced me to finally get the Percy Jackson series. So
Mhm.
I was like, whatever, I'll give it a try. I'm just like so monumentally bored at work. I didn't have a smartphone at the time either. This was like pre-smartphone.
Okay. Like that was me. I did not have a smartphone until my senior year of college. So I got you.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
It's looking back, like, how did I ever write an essay?
It's an interesting time.
Yes.
I had a weird in-between situation. I had an iPod Touch.
Okay.
And then campus Wi-Fi reached the entirety of campus. So I effectively had an iPhone, but not truly. I couldn't, if I left campus, I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
I just have regular texts and phone calls. What do I do?
Did the iPod Touch get calls?
I could do like Facebook Messenger stuff.
Oh,
and
yeah.
all those
Okay.
sorts of things. I didn't do a lot of calling with it. But yeah, it's not like FaceTime was around
Right.
yet.
Right.
But I at least could message everybody. And Facebook was like really, really big.
Yeah, so I started reading them and immediately I was like hooked. I was reading a book in the morning shift, go to lunch, book in the afternoon shift.
Dang.
I was like going through them because they're such tasty little morsels, you know? They're just like, they
They're
go
hard to
down
put down,
easy. They're hard to put
especially
down.
these. It's been much harder doing this with my normal cadence of not reading ahead. It's been tricky with these.
Yes, yes. And I will say, I think because I didn't have quite the like nostalgia hook for the original series as most people do, and because I blew through them all so fast, I wasn't having to like wait between releases. This secondary series is hands down my favorite. Again, I was in college. I like the more mature tone. I like the stakes feel a little bit even higher, but in a way that feels very grounded. And there's a lot of mystery around it that I think adds to the intrigue. And also, I really, really love these characters. And specifically, I really love Piper, and Leo is my favorite.
Oh, well, then I have
love
accidentally
him.
picked a perfect set of
Yes!
chapters for you to discuss.
As soon as I opened up the chapter, and I think, yeah, like literally Leo's name is the first word. I was like, yes, my boy. It's also nice because coming from living in Arizona, one of the things about the original series that like I just couldn't connect with is that I was not an East Coast guy,
Yeah.
you know?
Mhm.
Like now having like especially been to the city many more times and been like, that's not where Percy went. That's not it's not what occurred. But I like the more like out west sort of feel of these books as well. But yeah, Leo, absolute favorite character of all time. I would die for this boy. He's the best.
Great. Well, then I think we should get into it because we've got some Leo stuff to discuss. Now, where we last left our heroes, we had the Leo Sammy flashback where we learned that Sammy was his great grandfather, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, this chapter 23 opens with, quote, Leo deserved a dunce cap. And I wrote in my notes for not picking up on the Sammy thing because it was kind of obvious. But no, it's for not switching the ship's detection mode. Oh, yeah, that's where we really last left our heroes. They're getting attacked by something large, according to Coach Hedge. He, as the narrator lets us know, that he didn't change the detection mode from radar to sonar, which is what he was supposed to do when it goes from flying boat mode to ship mode. And I feel like this is just a classic, we need something in order to have a fight happen. But I do think it's funny that this boat has magical food that appears on any plate that you want, and things change all the time, but we have to manually switch detection mode from one to the other. We can't have both going at the same time.
Listen, this was, it came out a while ago. This was before like smart home style magic boats.
Sure.
We couldn't have, our little timed Nest thermostat automated, just a little retro.
And I will retract all of this if Nest ever wants to sponsor the show. But I only have bad experiences with Nest because it's only when I'm staying at someone else's place and I try to just make it work like a normal thermostat where I'm like, hello, it is too warm. Can it be colder? Or hello, it is too cold. Can it be warmer? And the Nest is like, whoa, ho, ho, hold on. What about your schedule? What about this thing? And blah, blah. It's like, it's cold in here. Make it warmer. Why does this have to be smart? It's become so much worse because it's smart. It's become stupid.
Yes.
Just make heat or make cold. Please stop.
It's like, how when you go to somebody's house and like you take a shower in their shower for the first time and you're like, how does this work? It's like that, but now it's like every single device in a home. Wild.
Nah, we need to get back to just like
press a button.
I was gonna say, this is another thing with the Nest is like it doesn't even have buttons.
No,
like it's all spinny, touchscreeny, whatever. It's just there's little logos for it. It's just
no.
I love the thermostat that we have in our place. The buttons are physical buttons. They make big, loud click noises. The air conditioner, it like has a thing when it turns on, it makes like a noise. So it's like really letting you know, like, hello, the fan's going to turn on. Don't worry. It's great. It's really nice. And this is the thing. I think Europe probably did this because Europe is very on top of these kind of rules where it's like, no, this has to make sense. Like when they were like, no, every phone's got to be a USB-C charge.
Yes.
And they're like, no. Websites, when they do cookies, they just have to have a button where you can click to be like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I think Europe also did a thing where there has to be a certain percentage of buttons in a car that have to be physical buttons and not touchscreen things because legitimately it's a safety hazard because you have to look at a touchscreen.
Yes. Like, again, coming from Arizona summers, yes, certainly a thermostat can pose like mortal danger to people, but not the same way a car can. And like, there's also a significant difference between standing in front of a thermostat stationary inside a home and touching a touchscreen than there is driving a car actively. So wild. Unbelievable
wild.
That things have gotten here. Not unbelievable. I do believe it. It's just awful.
Yep. Anyway, Percy Jackson.
Yes.
So there's a sea monster directly beneath them. Leo begins to take the helm as the boat begins to rock, but then he sees the monster. It is as long as the ship, and it looks like a cross between a giant shrimp and a cockroach, which is not a description I needed in my brain.
Yeah.
It has a pink chitinous shell, a crayfish tail. When is it crayfish and when is it crawfish, and is there a difference?
Okay, I could be really wrong here. I think that is a regional dialectic difference.
That's what I thought.
Wrong.
Let's see what the internet says. Crayfish and crawfish are the same freshwater crustacean. The difference is purely regional. Crayfish used in the northern U.S. and other English-speaking countries, while crawfish is more common in the southeastern United States, particularly Louisiana. Crawdad is also used in some parts of the United States, especially in the west and central regions.
I was just going to ask about crawdad.
There we are. When I first learned of eating crawfish, it was when I was living in Texas and when I worked at Papado Seafood Kitchen.
Oh my God, yes.
Thankfully, they did crawfish a whole bunch. But thankfully, peak crawfish season is not what I worked there because I would work whenever I wasn't in school. So summers, Thanksgiving break, Christmas break, etc. And peak crawfish season is in the winter. So I never had to deal with it. And it's just a terrible situation if you are a waiter at Papado Seafood Kitchen because notoriously, if you have crawfish, it takes a ton of time to eat them because you don't get that much meat out of them. So you just sit there and you're getting bowl after bowl. And if you're a waiter serving them, like, yeah, the bowls, I want to say were like $30 a pop, but like, so were the entrees.
Right.
And it takes so much more time. So you are spending like 2 hours on one table and their bill is not going to be that high. So it's a really miserable. And then just like cleaning up is awful.
That's the first thing I thought
everywhere. Oh, there's shells. You got to clean it. Because even when I worked there, like just the fact that we gave people free bread, there would be crumbs everywhere. It was a nightmare to try to like clean in between before the next tables come. But I couldn't imagine the variable of crawfish. Ridiculous. All this is to say, tip your waiters at least 20%. And if you can't do that, get out of there. It's not your fault. It's America's fault.
It's America's
but that's
fault.
just the reality of the situation.
The fact that it's America's fault doesn't negate the situation and what people are paid.
Right. It's not your bad.
Nope.
It's not our bad. It's America's bad. I don't want to say our anymore.
Yeah.
I just live here.
We just live here. I will say my very first note in this chapter is highlighting Percy's reaction to this monster, where he says,
we're gonna talk about this for potentially 85 minutes.
Yeah.
So the boat is rocking. It's got the crayfish / crawfish / crawdad tail. It's got millipede style legs, making it even worse. It is the head of a catfish with tentacles pouring out of each nostril, quote, making the bushiest of nosebeards Leo ever had the displeasure to behold. Gross.
Awful.
So gross.
Awful.
So gross.
Really bad.
I hope that this is based on a real sea monster from Greek mythology. Otherwise, I'm worried about Rick Riordan's imagination because this is just like peak nightmare fuel in so many different ways.
I think that it is based on one of the creatures, but he always adds like a really special spin on it. And he's got a way of describing that is like, there's a specific yuckiness he brings, you know?
It's one of those things where he just really describes, like, he's good at his job, but it's bad that he's so good at it because, like, you exactly picture what it is. Yes. Like, you know exactly what it looks like. And it's like, damn, I kind of wish I didn't. You're so vivid, Rick. How dare you?
Yes. How dare you, Rick?
Just so vivid in those descriptions. So Hedge yells for Leo to take the helm so that he can grab his bat. And that's going to do it, coach. Yeah. Leo does inform him that that's not going to do it while he continues onward. So now everybody comes upstairs, and then Percy, this was so funny. Percy comes up and goes, "What's going? Gah, Shrimpzilla!" Perfect. I laughed so hard. That's so funny. I immediately pulled out my phone. I went to the subsection of the Discord where there's like different levels of spoilers allowed for some of the different channels. Mm-hmm. So there's one that I usually hang out in, which is just like wherever the podcast is. And then there's like, I've read all of Mark of Athena. I've read all of Heroes of Olympus. I've read everything. So I went to the Mark of Athena one, didn't look at anything above where I was typing, and then just wrote, I'm not going to look at any messages here. I'm not going to look at any reply. I just had to voice to someone because I was alone when I was reading this. I was on the subway. I was just like, I have to voice to someone that I laughed really hard at this line. It was really funny. And now I get to voice it again to tens of thousands of people instead.
It's really funny.
It's very funny.
My note was just, some things never change.
Yeah.
That's my boy.
Rick just knows his characters. Yes. He knows what they would do. And Percy asking what's going on. Gah, Shrimpzilla. I love a gah. I use gah a lot. And for Percy to be a gah, it's just great. Shrimpzilla just nails it. Yeah. It just nails it.
It's so quintessentially Percy. Like, it's so funny, but it's so him. It's a great moment of character writing, and it's so silly. I loved this. And especially like coming back to the series after I haven't read these books in like quite a long time. So coming back and like immediately getting hit with like Leo and remembering like every single detail of the story. Like it's so vivid in my mind, but then also getting delighted by these little moments. So good. And especially again, just remembering how much I adore Percy as a character.
He's the best.
He's
just
the best. Like one of easily the best young adult fiction pro tags I can think of. If not, like he's like a top 5 easy for me.
He's my favorite of any of them.
Yeah.
And I'm not necessarily an expert because I haven't read a whole bunch of them, but he's my favorite. It's not even close.
Yeah.
But Shrimpzilla, that's like, I would love some Shrimpzilla merch. Yes. I would but the problem is Shrimpzilla is gross. So I feel like I would need like a cutified, is it chibi when they make the like cute little, I feel like I would need that to offset because I don't want like photorealistic Shrimpzilla.
No.
I want like, Shrimpzilla.
Yeah, you want that like ugly cute kind of thing going on.
Yes. Exactly.
Yes.
Right. But not whatever Labubu is, because that as I continue on more and more, I feel like from 30 to 33, I have become an old man like way more quickly. And maybe it's just because I had a kid, but like I find myself more and more on this podcast and some of my other podcasts having old man takes. And that's just one of them where it's just like, what are we doing?
What are we doing?
But also, like, have fun. You do you, everybody.
Sure.
But also, like, what are we doing? Personally, don't see the appeal. But I did see a really funny Blue Sky post about it that said, Labubu, isn't that just a French injury?
Oy, oy, oy.
It's really good. It's really good. It's really good. It's really good. My other old man take recently is I went to the Wu-Tang Clan concert, which is already an old man sentence. And I loved being in the crowd. I was one of the younger people in the crowd. They did a whole, like, what decade was everybody born in?
Wow.
Thing. And most people were from the 70s and the 80s because they were really popular in the 90s. So I get it. Like, I was definitely too young to be listening to those lyrics, but I started listening to Wu-Tang later in life.
Sure.
Imagine I was 9 years old telling people to bring the mother effing ruckus. Yeah, not what was happening. But they did this whole thing where they were cheering out, and I was one of the younger people. But you know what's so good about going to an old people concert? No one's on their phones. It's
so
really nice.
It's so nice. Also, like, I'm sorry, if I'm going to be at an event for like hours, I want to sit down.
Yeah.
Sit down, and I'm real little.
It was a great up and down of sitting where it was like depending on the song. So it was like this song that we don't know as well, we're gonna sit down. They had some guests that weren't the Wu-Tang Clan performing, and I was like, I'm glad these folks are here. Like Mobb Deep was there, that's awesome.
Very
Slick
cool.
Rick was there, that's awesome. I'm like, but I'll sit.
Yeah.
And especially I was in like the front row of a section at MSG, so no one's in front of me, so I could sit and like not have any sort of obstructed view.
So
but
nice.
like when Method Man surprise brought out Redman to finish doing Darac Wilder, after Method Man told us that Redman was not here, he gaslit us in the best way possible. I jumped the hell out of my seat.
Absolutely.
It was amazing. No, I was already standing because I loved Darac Wilder. I was standing, but then I was like really standing.
Harder.
Oh, yes, it was.
Planted.
No, I was jumping. But all this to say, concert with an older crowd, less people on the phone. It's just nice.
It's nice.
And this is like my most old man take. And I've had this since I was a young man. It sucks sometimes going to a concert with just like all the phones. You can't see anything. But I really love when people at the concerts, like the performers, yell at the crowd to not do it.
Yes.
I saw Green Day at Hershey Park for the Dookie and American Idiot anniversary show, which was perfect.
Amazing.
And 2 songs in, Billy Joe was like, everybody put your phones away. What are we doing?
Yes.
I was like, yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Especially like,
thank you.
You have stage experience for sure. Yes. I have a little, but like
I would feel so bad for them if people were just on their phones the whole time. It'd be such a bummer. I'd be so bummed on stage.
Right, like it feels bad as a performer. It feels bad.
Yeah.
Even if you know that people are like getting pictures, getting recordings, and it means that they are like wanting to share it because they enjoy it. Even then, no, it feels bad. Put your phone down. Mm-hmm. You can snap a few pictures here and there. Sure. Put it away.
Yes. Please at my shows, snap the photos and the videos during my intro, which is all hype and stuff. Mm-hmm. Maybe take a little like sneaky thing. If there's a particular thing, if I'm answering your Q&A question, do it. And then please tag me on Instagram because then I can share it to my story. And then my regular friends can see it and be like, wow, Mike's doing really well. I don't know what he's talking about, but it looks like there's a lot of people in the crowd.
Perfect.
So please post like a thing. This is my rule with concerts is always like, I know going into it, like when they do this song, I'm filming that one. And then everything else, I'm going to enjoy the show. That's how I rock it.
Exact same.
I usually do one vertical one and one horizontal one. The horizontal one, the landscape is for me. The portrait is for Instagram. And I go into it being like, this is the one I'm going to post on my Instagram story. This is the one that I'm going to save and watch later. And then put onto my external hard drive in my folder that is called concert videos because they take up too much room on my phone, which is now running out of memory because I take a million pictures of my daughter.
Yes. Yeah, that's the thing. You just got to have like a methodology here. And the methodology needs to be respectful to you as an audience member and also to the performer. This is the perfect recipe. Just choose a song and just record that one. It's okay. Or two. Two if you're fancy and you've got a horizontal as well.
Just got to go in with a game plan. Anyway, Percy Jackson. So Frank runs to Hazel, and even though that she's woozy from the dream and also probably the ocean because of her seasickness, he confirms that she's okay. The monster rams the ship. Some of our 7 fall over. Leo reaches the wheel. He adjusts some controls to steady the ship, and then he tries to change the oars into spear mode, which they have, which is very cool, but
very cool.
Unfortunately, they are jammed. Leo guesses it's because of all the ramming that's been happening. Annabeth asks how it got so close. Leo admits that he forgot to turn on the sonar. Leo has been very good this whole book about immediately owning up to his mistakes.
Yes.
He doesn't get defensive. He doesn't try to deflect. Immediately, every single time, and he does it multiple times in this chapter, he'll go, my bad, oops. And I really respect that about Leo.
Yes, this is one of the things that I love about him. First off, I already love like the archetype of like a Mercutio. Even I would argue in some depictions an Odysseus. Like I'm a little goofball, but I've got feelings too and complications. That's my favorite. But then add in a complete willingness to take accountability for your mistakes, own up to them, and then also to go right back into problem solving mode. Not making a big deal out of it, just saying like, yes, my bad. We have things to do.
Yeah, him cycling between silly mode, apology mode, and let's fix this mode is impressive.
So good.
And it's a place that I hope to operate because I like doing all of those things.
Yeah. I know that they talk about Leo having especially intense ADHD even for any of these demigods. Again, something that was started early in the Percy Jackson series. Like, it comes through here in the way that he can switch from one thing to another so fast. I love any instance where that can be seen as a positive, and whether or not it's remarked on here, because it's not really, but it does come through a bit. Like, it's just nice seeing that and seeing a character use it to their advantage.
Yeah, it's really nice. So he apologizes for this. Hedge goes, sonar, pants, pipes, Valdez. Maybe if you hadn't been staring into Hazel's eyes holding hands for so long. Frank, of course, goes, what? And Hazel exclaims that it wasn't like that. Piper says it doesn't matter and asks Jason if he can summon lightning, but he is still too wiped from the previous storm. Annabeth asks Percy if he can talk to this monster, and Percy wonders, oh yeah, maybe it's just confused by the ship. But then a tentacle smacks Percy, knocks him down the stairs, and then another tentacle tangles up Piper. Hedge goes, nose hair attack, which is great.
Really good.
And he hits one with his bat, and he one-shot kills Shrimpzilla. No, nothing happens. And I think Coach Hedge's bat, when he's fighting these giant monsters, it should be like when you do the Luigi up punch taunt in Super Smash Brothers, where I don't know what the percentage is, but 1 out of whatever times, if you hit someone just right with it, one shot kills them. I think that should happen with Hedge. Like every 5 out of 100 times. Give me a 5% rate where he just does it and then vanquishes the evil with one swing of his bat. I would love it.
Yeah, we should give him like a D100 on this.
You
know?
Like, yeah.
You just get one number out of 100, but then you crit. That's great.
Be good. Jason then draws his sword. He slashes Piper free, but new tentacles grab her almost instantly. Annabeth starts running and jabbing with her dagger. Frank shoots arrows at the body. Leo thinks that they need an attack with a little more oomph, and then he sees a supply box near Hazel's feet, so he tells her to open it, even though the box has "Do Not Open" written on it.
Warning, do not open, all caps.
Yeah, tough. Leo has Hedge take the wheel. He asks Frank if he can buy them some time by turning into a shark, but then Frank gets knocked over while scowling about this. So I thought, oh, it's going to be the classic thing where he does come back as a shark. Like he falls over and it's like, no, Frank, but then it's like, shark Frank. But that did not happen. We'll see that that's not what went down at all. I was really confident about this happening, and I was very incorrect.
I also love this exchange between Hedge and Leo, where Hedge says, hope you got a plan, and Leo just says, a bad one.
Yep.
Just iconic Leo moment.
Better than no plan, right? You know,
it's
like
something, and it's immediate.
It's not nothing.
Yeah.
We'll take it. So Hazel screams in horror and drops the 2 glass vials that she had retrieved from the box, but Leo catches them. Leo feels guilty for talking to Frank, thinking that he may have distracted him enough to potentially cost him his life. Hazel, seemingly reading Leo's mind, tells him to hurry because they can save Frank if they kill Shrimpzilla. Hazel asks, what is this stuff? Leo says it's Greek fire. Hazel thinks that's incredibly risky because what if it hits the boat? Leo says, aim for the shrimp's mouth. And then tentacles grab them. They each have 1 vial. Leo's arms are free. Hazel's arms are not free. So if her vial is crushed, according to narrator Leo, quote, that would be extremely bad for their health.
Yes.
Correct. So then they were raised 30 feet above the monster, and Leo can see that the squad below is not doing well against Shrimpzilla. So Hazel says to Leo, I can't, my arms. And Leo responds by asking if she trusts him. She yells, no. And he says, me neither. Great. He instructs her to hold her breath once they are dropped and to chuck the vial as far away from the ship as she can. And Hazel asks exactly what was on my mind. Wait, what's going to happen? How are you so confident that this monster is going to drop you. And then I was thinking, oh, is Leo, because his hands are free, going to throw his vial first? And that's exactly his plan.
Yeah.
So he puts the vial in his left hand. He shoots a burst of fire from his right. The monster screams out in pain, raising his maw, and then Leo chucks the Greek fire down its throat. So the monster drops them. They fall into the water. And I'm glad Rick made it clear in this book, if you hit water from very high up, it does not feel good.
No.
It hurts quite badly.
Really bad. Yeah.
Shout out to the Mythbusters for me as a kid, seeing that episode and being like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh,
I gotta
bad.
be
Bad,
careful.
actually. Really bad.
It's like hitting cement.
Mhm,
Yeah, this is tough. So they fall into the water. It does hurt. Leo holds his breath, but he feels his consciousness fading. And the narrator, Leo, says, quote, killed by a giant shrimp, Leo thought bitterly. At least let the Argo 2 survive. Let my friends be okay. And just as he's about to give up, he sees the face of a man who looks like Chiron over him. And I remembered, oh, right, this whole thing was going to see Chiron's brothers.
Mhm.
And I had guessed already that it wasn't going to be the Party Ponies. I thought it was going to be someone else. And it seems like that guess is looking correct.
Who's to say?
Yeah, we'll learn next chapter, or kind of at the end of this one, but not fully. So the description of this dude goes, quote, he had the same curly hair, shaggy beard, and intelligent eyes, a look somewhere between wild hippie and fatherly professor, except this man's skin was the color of a lima bean. The man silently held up a dagger. His expression was grim and reproachful, as if to say, now hold still, or I can't kill you properly.
Lima bean is so specific, and like immediately I knew exactly the color.
See, I had to Google it because I was like, that's green, right? I don't eat a lot of them, but they're like greenish, tannish, right? They're not like as green as an edamame bean, right?
They're not. They're a little bit paler.
Yeah.
I would say they're like not desaturated, but like they're just a little bit lighter, a little bit less vibrant, a little more sad looking. Like, I think even when they're like fresh, they still kind of look boiled, you know? Did you ever read the children's book / masterpiece of body horror, A Bad Case of the Stripes?
No.
Okay.
Should I just Google?
Yes.
Okay.
A Bad Case of the Stripes.
Oh, I've seen this picture of this book.
Everyone knows the cover, but not a lot of people seem to read it, and very few people...
Yeah, maybe because of the cover.
Right. See, me, being a little horror goblin early on in life, I was like, oh, that's awful. Let's go. So the whole thing is that, like, basically she keeps getting Cronenberged because she refuses to eat her lima beans. And ever since, it's all I can think about anytime I think of a lima bean, which is surprisingly more than you might think.
I'm sorry, is there a part of this book where she turns red, white, and blue when she's doing the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure is. Did you secretly read this?
No, it's just the Google images. The only two things are the cover and then this page where she turns into body paint America Betsy Ross flag.
Okay,
like,
keep scrolling down a little and you will see kind of like a Pee Wee Herman, like, oh, this house has a face, right? That's her.
Yeah.
That's her.
Wait, what?
Yeah, she gets in-houseified, like, and all because she won't eat her lima beans. It's a nightmare. It's so scary. Why did they write this?
Look, according to Google, it's got 4.8 stars with 5,375 reviews. So it is.
The illustration style is
thriving.
beautiful.
I am glad that I never read this, and I hope that no one gifts this to me for our little one. And if they do, it will go straight into the donation box.
Yeah, or just like put it in a safe. They can have it when they're 18 and it's like they can handle it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the recommended age is 35 when you can handle this, because I think I'm even too young to have read this.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
I don't like it. I'm going to go and eat some lima beans to try to keep the stripes at bay. Anyway, Percy Jackson. So Leo passes out, and when he comes to, he is floating weightlessly. And then Frank goes, about time. But it sounds too echoey to be normal.
I have a question for you about this. I have an audio question for you about this line.
Ooh.
So when I got to this line, it says, Frank's voice had too much reverb. Cool, got it. Like he was speaking through several layers of plastic wrap. Okay, now you've lost me.
That would not create reverb.
No, that would do fully the opposite. So at first I was like, okay, is this because Leo is underwater and we're getting kind of that, like, that filter, like, oh, I'm in another room, people are above the water.
Yeah.
But then that's not reverb. So what could this possibly mean?
So I think what Rick is describing, you know how in kindergarten you make those like music box things where you take like some sort of like saran wrap cellophane type thing and you put it over a cardboard tube from a paper towel roll.
Yeah.
Like you make a kazoo that's like
Got it.
like I think that's what he's describing, but I wouldn't. Maybe that's reverb, but I don't think so because
Think so.
I like this is one of those things where like I might not know like the technical thing, but to me reverb is more echo based
Right.
than it is like distortion.
Yes.
Which is what I would call that instead. Maybe there's some other technical term, but
No, you're right on the money.
I wouldn't call it reverb.
No, but that's okay. He is not an audio guy.
Mhm.
That's us. But I did read that and I was like, now hold on.
I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't pick up on that, and I'm glad that I could stunt and flex a little bit of my look at me knowing about audio things. But really, it's just like when the room is too echoey, I use dialogue de-reverb on
There you
RX, and I get rid of the echo. And then I'm always doing this balancing act with live shows of, well, I want to get rid of the echo, but I don't want to do too much because then the laughs get too quiet. And then instead, when I'm pausing for laughter, it sounds like I'm pausing waiting for laughter, which is the 100% opposite of someone laughing at your joke on stage, is you going like, look how funny I was. How come no one's laughing? So yeah, doing the sound cleanup for live show episodes is such a balancing act. Such a balancing act.
You're so brave. You're so brave.
I do what I can.
Never in my life would I put I Think Alive on a feed. No, I couldn't be me.
I love it. 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 And I think with TNO, I've successfully kicked the thing where I know there's other podcasts where people just skip the live show episodes. If you did that, you'd be missing out on a lot of this podcast.
Ooh, that's
but
true.
I knew that I wanted to do a lot of these shows and do proper episodes for them. So I was like, if I just make them sound really good and I do them often enough, people won't complain. People did complain a little bit. And then once I did Torp, where it was like, hello, we're doing 18 shows. Get used to it. Yep.
Buckle in,
the
friends.
12 straight episodes alive. Otherwise, bye. Go listen to another show. It worked out. And now people enjoy the live show ones. And now I'm just, wait, don't tell me where everything's live. That'll be the next phase. Everything's live. Yeah. And that's just the podcast.
That's the podcast. Yeah.
That legit is the dream, though. I had a friend ask me recently because I've mentioned retiring. And someone said, what does retirement look like for you? And I thought maybe it would be a situation where I book live shows in cities I want to do it in and stuff like that. And then just like casually keep making stuff, but it's just like doing the live shows, recording the live shows and putting them up. Like I could see that be the move when I'm in my 50s and still finishing the Riordanverse. I love it. I love the job security. It's great. It's so nice. It's good. It's super cool.
That would be a very fun retirement. I can see that for you for sure.
Let's see where it goes. Anyway, Percy Jackson. So narrator Leo describes the water situation as, quote, Leo sat up, or rather he drifted upright. He was underwater in a cave about the size of a 2-car garage. Phosphorescent moss covered the ceiling, bathing the room in a blue and green glow. The floor was a carpet of sea urchins, which would have been uncomfortable to walk on, so Leo was glad he was floating. He didn't understand how he could be breathing with no air. And now I'm realizing, okay, we've got some new relatives for Chiron, and they seem to be aquatic-based. This is very interesting. Yeah. I mean, the phosphorescent moss, that's a cool vibe. That's a really, really cool vibe.
Always gets me. Every time. I'm such a sucker for it. Mm-hmm. You give me something, some kind of plant or some such that glows, I'm in.
Bioluminescent phytoplankton. If you get the chance to see that in Thailand, can't recommend that enough to everyone. It's like stars in the ocean.
Amazing.
It is the coolest thing I've ever seen, I think, ? It's wild. It's super duper wild.
Nice.
Now, I'm wondering, did these people only save Frank and Leo? But then I was wondering, okay, maybe they're the only 2 people who fell in the water. So I was confused about the why is it just 2 people here kind of a thing. Frank is levitating in a meditation pose nearby. He does not look happy. And the only exit to the cave is blocked by an abalone shell. Leo asks, where are they and where is everyone else? And then Frank goes, everyone, in italics. What was he getting at here? I was really confused by, like, I get that he's mad at Leo, but I don't understand this particular reply. I was really confused.
I also don't know. I was also perplexed by this. I think, okay, if I'm like really, really overanalyzing this, what I think is maybe going on is that Frank does not think that Leo is actually interested in the whereabouts of everyone. And in fact, Leo is trying to only find out the details about where Hazel is right now. Because Frank is still like the last thing that he saw before this all went down was this claim of, oh, you're staring dreamily into her eyes. And Frank is so wildly insecure.
Okay. I can see it. I can see it. Thank you. Yeah, I think that's right.
Mm-hmm.
So Frank says he thinks it's just him, Leo, and Hazel down here. He says that, quote, the fish horse guys took Hazel about an hour ago. And then Leo sees that Frank doesn't have his bow on him. And then Leo pats his waist and sees that his tool belt is gone. And Frank explains that the fish horse guys searched them and took anything that they thought might be a weapon. Leo asks, who are the fish horse? And then Frank replies, fish horse guys. Very matter-of-factly. Narrator Leo says that is not very helpful. Frank does not know who they are, but he figures that they grabbed them after they got into the ocean. Leo asks if the ship is okay, and then Frank says the others might be in trouble or hurt or worse, but I guess you care more about your ship than your friends. And I think this is still a little bit sassy from Frank.
Yeah.
But he did move on quite quickly from where is everybody to is the ship okay? Maybe you could say that Frank's answer previously negated Leo asking, is everyone okay? Because Frank doesn't know where people are. So it's not 100% like he's just going, oh yeah, where's everybody? Oh, is the ship okay? Oh, like, but I can kind of, it's a little like, I see where Frank's coming from. A little too harsh, but I get it.
Yeah, he didn't have to say it like that. And he could have maybe just like kept that one on the inside. You know,
this is tone plays a big one here. Mm-hmm. Really need to know the tone.
Yeah, Frank, I love Frank, but he can be so passive aggressive. And again, because he's just so insecure, but like, don't make that everybody else's problem, man.
Yeah, I think he's just going through some stuff. And I like how quickly the grumpiness melts away once they talk a little bit.
Same.
Leo wonders why Frank is being such a jerk, and then he remembers, oh, right, the flashback and Coach Hedge making such a big deal about it. So he apologizes to Frank for getting them into this mess. And then he begins to explain that the flashback was to learn about his connection with Sammy. And then this is where Frank instantly drops the anger and instead is just curious about what is that connection. So Leo explains that Sammy was his great-grandfather, and as he recounts the whole story to Frank, he starts to recall, oh yeah, people used to call my grandpa Sam Jr., so now he's putting that together. Then we get this exchange from the book. Quote, Hazel liked your great-grandfather? That's why she likes you? Frank, I know this is weird. Believe me, but I don't like Hazel. Not that way. I'm not moving in on your girl. Frank knit his eyebrows. No? Leo hoped he wasn't blushing. Truthfully, he had no idea how he felt about Hazel. She was awesome and cute, and Leo had a weakness for awesome, cute girls. But the flashback had complicated his feelings a lot.
Big same, buddy.
The awesome, cute things is the most teenager way to describe that. Rick is very good at writing teenage narrators.
Yes. This whole situation is so wild, and I can't imagine how uncomfortable everyone is. But I do like that Leo is making this space to kind of like let Frank have his feelings, let him feel more settled. I like that Leo doesn't go in the opposite direction, kind of lean in and say like, well, maybe I am. Maybe I am. You know, I don't know. I haven't thought about it much. It's just a really sweet moment. And it's nice to see Leo kind of like knowing what he has to do to ease the situation, and also knowing that like he doesn't actually have an opinion strong enough right now anyway. So there's no point in like staying firm on it or something.
Right. Leo then thinks that another reason that his feelings are complex about this situation is because the ship is in trouble. He thinks of Frank's comment. He hopes that that's not true, that he doesn't actually care about the ship more than his friends. He does recall his dad, Hephaestus, saying that he didn't vibe well with organic life forms. But Leo thinks, I'm not that way. I care about my friends. He thinks the members of the Seven, even the new folks that I just met, they're like a family to me. He thinks that even this would apply to Coach Hedge, though he wouldn't admit it out loud.
Yeah.
He says he just doesn't know, this all as the narrator, he's saying he doesn't know what it's like to have a family since he hasn't had one in so long, but he knows that it's the Seven and then also Coach Hedge, but don't tell anyone. Yeah. But he also knows that it's not the Cabin 9 folks. He likes them, but they are not family level. He thinks of Nemesis saying that he's always going to be the seventh wheel, and then he pushes it aside.
Yeah, this whole passage, again, like more reason for me to just absolutely adore Leo. This is so sweet and so sad. And the tying it together of not having had a family and that making you feel like an outsider, and also thinking that because you haven't had a family in so long, then that it makes you an outsider. Like there's a sort of cycle going there. And I think that it does really well to show, again, kind of like that teenager spiraling mentality. But then I love that Leo, again, is capable of being like, right, feelings, set aside, we've got things to do.
Exactly. So Leo says to Frank that they need a plan, but first asks, how are we breathing underwater? Frank says that it's some sort of fish horse guy magic. One touched him on the forehead and then he could breathe. Leo asks Frank if he could turn into a hammerhead shark and bust them out. Frank says that his shape-shifting is not working. It either could be because of the magic or because he's just all out of sorts. Leo says that they got to find Hazel because she might be in trouble. I think she's going to be okay. I feel like these guys are going to be good guys at this point. Frank says that he has tried to break out and has been unsuccessful in doing so, but he admits that even if they got out of this room, they don't have any weapons. Leo wonders if his fire powers would work, and then they start working arguably a little too well as his hand flame extends to his entire body. Frank freaks out and backs away. Leo calms himself down and wills the flames to recede. Then he chides Frank for not helping him out, and Frank apologizes and does look truly embarrassed, so Leo feels a little bit bad. And then he asks Leo, what was that? What happened? What the heck is going on? Leo says that it's because of the clever magic of these fish horse guys. Quote, there's a thin layer of oxygen around us, like an extra skin. Must be self-regenerating. That's how we're breathing and staying dry. The oxygen gave the fire fuel, except the fire also suffocated me.
It's great that it didn't keep regenerating and kept him on fire forever.
Yeah, I guess the fire powers is not just creating fire, but it's also containing fire. So good he could extinguish that stuff, because that could have been very bad for Leo. Frank tells Leo that he's really spooked about his fire powers. Leo laughs and assures him that he's not going to attack him. Frank repeats fire. And I was like, oh, right. Frank doesn't like the fire because of the stick. I feel like this oh, right moment has happened twice where I'm like, why is he being so weird about, yeah, right. The fire is super effective against Frank.
Yeah, it's almost like his entire
boy.
Yeah, his whole life is just literally attached to a stick. Stick.
So Leo doesn't know the full deal of Frank's stick stuff because they haven't had that conversation yet. So he thinks that Frank must have just had some sort of bad run-in with fire. So Leo apologizes for laughing before and then says, hey, my mom died in a fire, so I get it. And Frank says, oh yeah, my grandma's house burned down in a fire, but there's more than that. And he's kind of going back and forth. And after a beat, he says, quote, Annabeth said I could trust the crew, even you. And Leo's response is great. Oh, even me, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, very funny. Because also, like, it is true. Like, yes, you did destroy, or at least tried to destroy Camp Jupiter. So, like, we know why all that went down, but like the trustworthy factor is not off the charts for you, my guy.
Especially not after. So what's up with the boat, though?
Yeah, and then also, you've explained the flashback, but you were still holding hands with my girlfriend. So what's going on, my guy? So like, I get it, Frank. I get it. So the narrator Leo wonders, how did this come up in conversation between Annabeth and Frank? And it was awkward. They just kind of brought it up out of nowhere. Frank was just like, hey, Annabeth, can I talk to you about something? So, dude, it didn't really come up in a normal way.
No.
Frank then literally goes, my weakness. There's this piece of firewood. And then the door opens. And of course, when they're in the cave of Chiron's brothers, you're going to have door opening a key plot point moment. Of course. They're all family. It runs in their blood. So then narrator Leo says, quote, Leo turned and found himself face to face with Lima Bean Man, who wasn't actually a man at all. Now that Leo could see him clearly, the guy was by far the weirdest creature he'd ever met. And that was saying a lot. From the waist up, he was more or less human, a thin, bare-chested dude with a dagger in his belt and a band of seashells strapped across his chest like a bandolier. His skin was green, his beard was scraggly brown, and his longish hair was tied back in a seaweed bandana. A pair of lobster claws stuck up from his head like horns. Up until this point, I was like, this guy doesn't sound weird at all. And I was like, oh, okay, we've got it. We've got it.
No, in fact, actually, yeah, real weird.
You were right. Antlers that are lobster horns? Okay, we're good. Yep, we've done it. Stuck up from his head like horns, turning and snapping at random to make it even weirder.
Yeah, worse.
Yeah. Leo says that this guy looks more like Pancho Villa than Chiron. And I was like, oh, I hope Pancho Villa doesn't read this book because he'll be very upset.
I think we're good. We're in the clear for that happening, luckily.
You never know. You never know.
True. In these wild times.
Narrator Leo then says, quote, from the waist down, the guy was more complicated. He had the four legs of a blue-green horse, sort of like a centaur, but toward the back, his horse body morphed into a fishy tail about 10 feet long with a rainbow-colored V-shaped tail fin. So yeah, this dude is weird looking. I believe you, Leo. This is an interesting vibe to say the least.
10 feet is a lot, too.
That is the height of a basketball rim, which is always what I think of when anything is 10 feet or in increments of 10. I always divide by basketball rims.
Perfect, yes.
Just my unit of measurement. So then he introduces himself as Bythos and says that he will interrogate Frank. Obviously, I got to talk to Dr. Moya about Bythos because what? Leo asks why they captured them and demands to know where Hazel is being kept, but Bythos gives them a "who do you think you are talking to me like that" look and says that Leo will go with his brother. And then this is how the book ends this chapter. Leo realized that a much larger figure was looming behind Bythos, with a shadow so wide it filled the entire cave entrance. "Yes," Bythos said with a dry smile, "try not to make Aphros mad." And that is the end of this chapter. Oh, what's going on? Ooh. I have retitled it. I couldn't go with like a quirky, clever thing. I just had to go with my favorite thing from this chapter, potentially of this book, potentially the series. Gah! Shrimpzilla!
Yeah.
It's just too good.
Iconic.
Just too good. Do you have a retitling for chapter 23?
No, of course I'm with you. This is the only acceptable choice.
Yep. Cool. Great. Fantastic. So now we're going to take our break, the Market of Athena, to talk about cool things going on with the podcast. And then we will conclude this episode by discussing chapter 24. Hello and welcome to the Market of Athena Wales edition, coming to you on my laptop microphone at the place we're staying in Wales. We're here just on a little vacation after doing the live show in Manchester, which was a delight. Thanks to everyone who came, and I've got some updates. I want to get through them quickly because it's late at night. Kelly's asleep, the baby's asleep. I don't want to risk waking anybody up, so let's breeze through these updates. The most timely is that this coming Sunday, September 28th, we've got a live show in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'll be joined by Eric Hamilton Schneider, and we'll be covering at least chapters 4 and 5 of the House of Hades. We might touch on 6 because we got into a little bit of chapter 4 at the Manchester show, just because the first 3 chapters are really short. So might do a little bit more, but at least chapters 4 and 5. You can get tickets to that show at thenewsolympian.com/live. Thank you again to everyone who attended the live show or watched the stream replay of the show that we did covering the end of the Mark of Athena. I will do the thing where I put the replay video up on the Patreon shop eventually. If you were planning on seeing the replay stream and you missed it, I'll definitely put it up, but I'd like to take the time to make sure that the file is as good as it can be. And if you did watch the stream, you know that we had some audio and video stream issues at the beginning of it, so that might take a little bit of time. But if you are antsy, like, oh no, I missed it, I'll eventually get it up on the Patreon shop. It's just going to take a little bit of time. Speaking of the Patreon, if you're looking for an update about the patron bookmark situation, when we get back from our trip, we will acquire them and then start mailing them out. So I'll be working on that with Kelly over the course of October, most likely. And of course, if we're going to talk about the Patreon, we got to talk about the folks who've joined the Patreon most recently. So shout out to our newest God tier patrons, Euphelia Zimtstaub, Mrs. SPB, and Farah. And shout out to our newest demigod tier patron, Judy W. And also shout out to Kristen Moreno Swanson, who upgraded their pledge. If you upgrade your pledge, you can always send me a DM on Patreon letting me know, and I'll give you a special shout out. So if you want your upgrade to be acknowledged, you shoot me a DM on Patreon. But thank you, patrons, for your support. May Hermes bless you that if you are in a country where they drive on a different side of the road, you figure out what way you're supposed to look when you're crossing the street and you don't almost get run over by cars at least 3 times in 2 days. Now, if you're all caught up on the News Olympian and you're looking for some new content to consume, you're in luck, because I make a whole bunch of stuff. I make a whole bunch of podcasts, and one I think you would enjoy is one that is a new show that I've done with Sequoia Simone, and it's a video podcast called Professional Talkers. Me and Sequoia are full-time podcasters, and we've had lots of awkward conversations, both through podcasting and outside of it. And we are giving advice in a comedic way about how to navigate awkward conversations. The episode that I'm currently working on right now has a guest expert, Jeffrey Craner from Welcome to Night Vale, talking about how to have a conversation with that relative at Thanksgiving or any other situation that's similar. If you want to check it out, the video versions are up on Spotify and YouTube. Just search for Professional Talkers. And if you just want to listen to it, you can listen to it wherever you get your podcasts. Now, unless you're listening on Patreon, where you get access to ad-free episodes, you're going to hear words from a few sponsors to make it feasible for me to be a full-time podcaster. Some of those ads will be read by me, and others of them won't be. The ones that aren't read by me are inserted locally. So if you live in Wales, don't be surprised if you hear an ad in Welsh. And it's an interesting language, Welsh. Power to anyone who learns it, because man, it looks challenging. But once those ads are complete, we'll get back into this episode of the News Olympian. And we're back, and we're going to discuss chapter 24, which is also called Leo, but we will retitle it. It begins with, quote, Aphros looked like his brother, except he was blue instead of green and much, much bigger. So, oh boy,
Huge.
We're already kind of shaky about, big person, big creature of sorts, and we got to determine if this guy's scary or not. But he's at least big. Narrator Leo says, quote, he had an Arnold as Terminator abs and arms and a square brutish head. A huge Conan-approved sword was strapped across his back. Even his hair was bigger, a massive globe of blue-black frizz. And that's a very Leo Valdez way to describe this guy. Just make multiple Schwarzenegger references.
Yes.
Yeah,
I will say, perhaps also a little Uncle Rickish in that I don't know if these are necessarily the action heroes that Leo would be most acquainted with.
But here's the thing. But it wouldn't work for him because his dad is Hephaestus. In my experience as teenage boy, usually the movies you like and the songs you like are usually passed down by your parents. So yeah,
That's true.
no. Maybe I was going to say dad, but like, no, his mom could be super in action movie. So maybe his mom, Esperanza Valdez, was showing him stuff. But like,
yeah,
when
especially
you're a
Terminator
teen,
with Sarah Connor,
oh,
yes.
Great. She's
I was
fantastic.
raised
So,
with Terminator, so actually, okay,
that's
I
it's
take
like,
it back.
when you're that young of a teen, before you're old enough to start like watching movies on your own and stuff, especially if you're like pre-17 and you can't go to R-rated movies, the only thing is like when your dad or your mom is like, hey, do you want to watch Terminator? And you're like, oh, I'm only 15. Yeah. This is so cool. So I could see it. I think it probably is a little Uncle Rick, but I think it does track for teenagers.
I agree. Did you have like one of these series? Because Terminator definitely was the one for me that I grew up watching from my parents.
I loved it. I definitely was on it earlier than I was, legally supposed to be with a rated R film. Because I remember, I feel like I might have had Terminator 3 on my iPod Touch.
Claire Danes. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So
Special
my dad
one.
loved the movies. Yeah. There were a couple of action movies, but I think the franchise that really sticks out as watching as a young kid was Terminator, though I never watched one.
You never watched
just
one?
2 and 3.
Okay. No. 2, in fairness, 2 is like so obviously the best one that if you skipped it, 2, you kind of don't need one. 1 is there and it's great, it's great, but like 2, perfect.
I think it might have literally just been that like 2 came to DVD and my dad got it, and I don't know that he ever had 1 on VHS or anything. And then when 3 came out, I don't know if we saw it in the theater, but we at least like saw it soon after it came to DVD or whatever. And then we did see whatever the 4th one was with Sam Rockwell. Was he? Or am I? That's not Sam Rockwell. Who's in Terminator 4?
I've never seen this one.
4 cat. It was like we're rebooting Sam Worthington, not Sam Rockwell. I was like, not Sam Rockwell, but a
Worthington.
Sam.
I'm looking this man up.
It was Christian Bale and Sam Worthington.
Christian
You don't remember
Bale.
Sam Worthington?
Oh, I don't know the name of men.
Oh,
straight up.
He's Jake Sully in Avatar, everyone's favorite. Right, guy.
Of course, James Sully in Avatar. Iconic.
The John Smith, if you will.
Yes.
Oh my God. In the long list of things where it's just a copy paste, the initials of the white guy are the same? Come on. JS, they didn't even try.
Didn't even try.
Anyway. Percy Jackson. So Leo asks if this guy was named Aphros because of his Afro-style hair. Aphros is confused. Leo moves on by asking, what are you? And Aphros answers that they are itch theocentaurs?
I think it's
probably ick. Ictiocentaurs is what I would say.
I agree. I looked at the word and I was like, I have a grasp on this for sure. And then I started saying it out loud and was like, no.
The grasp has been released. Yeah, I'll ask Dr. Moya for a check, but I think Ictiocentaur sounds correct. And Leo goes, icky what? And Aphros further details that they are fish centaurs. They are the half-brothers of Chiron. So my guess from earlier was effectively correct, though I don't know. They didn't say where the half is from. Like, is Kronos their dad, or do they have the same mom?
Oh, yeah.
I will learn in the myth episode from Dr. Moya. So after mentioning they are half-brothers of Chiron, Leo says, oh, he's actually a friend of mine. And Aphros says, Hazel said the same thing. We got to make sure that's true. So he leads Leo through a kelp forest, and Leo thinks he sees the sun, meaning it's the next day. He wonders where the I still know what the Argo did last summer is and what his friends are up to. I've had to start Googling like fun sequel titles so that I can keep running this bit till I run out of movies. Leo doesn't think an escape is possible because he doesn't know where he is. The other fish dudes can navigate the water way better than him, and he's also not sure how deep they are, and he doesn't want to get the bends by rapidly going to the surface from way down deep. Leo doesn't even want to ask where they are on this long journey because Aphros has a huge sword that, quote, sort of discouraged conversation. So they finally arrive at an underwater hill with an entire town with Greek-style buildings on the seafloor. It's described as, quote, the roofs were tiled with mother of pearl, the gardens were filled with coral and sea anemones, hippocampi grazed in a field of seaweed, a team of cyclopes was placing the domed roof on a new temple, using a blue whale as a crane, so cool, and swimming through the streets, hanging out in the courtyards, practicing combat with tridents and swords in the arena were dozens of mermen and mermaids, honest to goodness fish people. Cool. So we've got underwater camp Half-Blood.
Yeah. I love him saying that he thought that they were like Smurfs or Muppets. Leo.
It's so good.
Leo.
That's such a fun way. Yeah.
Look around you, my boy.
He does clarify, like, even though all this Greek stuff and Roman stuff I've seen is real, I thought they were mythical, quote, like Smurfs or Muppets. And I guess in a world where myths are real, the true mythical creatures have to become cartoons. But hey, the Muppets are real. What are you talking? The Muppets are real.
That's very
Statler
true.
and Waldorf go to Broadway shows together. They're real.
And like, look at Miss Piggy. We understand.
Come on.
She is real.
Yes. Right. Look, Treasure Island with Tim Curry is a documentary film.
Yes.
It's all real. Now, what's funny about this whole revelation is that I was so close to being right with my guesses. So previously, I had guessed that when they were going to Atlanta, it was actually going to be Atlantis in the aquarium. And this is like effectively Atlantis. And then I had guessed that it was going to be a friendly encounter in Atlanta. So now we get the friendly trip to Atlantis. It's just like the next step. I was so close. It was like bad encounter in Atlanta, followed by bad post-Atlanta encounter with Shrimpzilla. And now we have nice Atlantis. It just wasn't in Atlanta. I was so close. So
that
very
is
close.
a plot of a Futurama episode for what it's worth.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, is that
Unsurprisingly,
Atlanta,
I've seen 0 episodes.
Yeah, Atlanta gets, like, they sink themselves, I think, for more tourism, if I'm remembering correctly.
The traffic was too much.
Yeah.
Too much. Leo notices that the mer people are fierce, and then it dawns on him, this is a training ground. These creatures train heroes just like Chiron. And then the book says the following, Aphros nodded, a glint of pride in his eyes. We have trained all the famous mer heroes. Name a mer hero, and we have trained him or her. Oh, sure, Leo said. Like, the Little Mermaid? Aphros frowned. Who? No. Like Triton, Glaucus, Weiss, I'm guessing more Weissmuller, and Bill.
Bill.
And Leo goes, oh, you trained Bill? Impressive.
Wow.
And then Aphros goes, indeed, I trained Bill myself, a great merman. I need the side story of Bill the Merman. I'm going to quickly add it to my long list of notes of things that get briefly introduced but not fully fleshed out.
Yes.
And I will write Bill the Merman, because man, Merman,
You know
that
that's a
sounds
great saga. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Just great. Bill the Merman. Oh, lovely, lovely, lovely. Leo guesses that Aphros teaches combat, and Aphros frustratingly wonders why everyone assumes that. He says that he teaches music and poetry. Life skills and homemaking are important skills that heroes must know. And I love this bit. I love someone that doesn't look like they do the job that they do. It's so fun.
And he's so insistent about it, and he's so proud of it, and I love that.
So
like
proud.
it's so
great.
precious, it's really adorable, it's very sweet. I immediately loved Aphros, like immediately.
Big fan of him. He's skyrocketed towards the top of favorite characters list for me.
Yes.
Leo fights back a smile and asks if he teaches sewing and cookie baking as well, and he goes, yes, I'm glad you understand. Oh, sorry, I realized I said this before doing this episode. So when I read the Gruffalo to my child, I don't know if you are familiar with this children's book, but a listener, is it Andrea or Andrea? It's one of the 3. I can spell it but not say it, even though she has told me it, but I've forgotten. She has sent me a bunch of Julia Donaldson books multiple times being like, well, you probably have the Gruffalo, so here are some other ones. So for the longest time, I didn't have the Gruffalo. Then she came to the Switzerland show because she lives in London, and came with her family, including her kids, who were the sweetest, most adorable children that I have ever spoken to. They were so nice and so kind, and they were thanking me for the live show and the podcast. I was crying. They also brought me as a gift 3 Gruffalo books. So now I've started reading the Gruffalo to my daughter. I get the hype. It's great. And my
That
voice
rules.
for the Gruffalo, I just imagined was Afro's because,
Yes.
the Gruffalo like seems like he's supposed to be mean and scary. And then spoiler alert for the Gruffalo,
Whoa.
turns out to be nice and not so menacing. So when I do the Gruffalo, I talk like this, my favorite food. So
Really good.
I just imagine that Afros, I'm very proud of my Gruffalo voice. So Afros I'm going to do is the Gruffalo. Yes, I'm glad you understand. Perhaps later, if I don't have to kill you, I will share my brownie recipe.
Perfect.
And look, those brownies have to be so good because if you are immortal, you have thousands of years to perfect a recipe. And I feel like with baking, it's so much tweaking.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so much of like, oh, you have to put in this, 1 1/4 teaspoons of this, or the oven has to be at 427 degrees. Like, you get the perfection. And so for an eternally perfected brownie recipe, come on, it has to be so good.
So there is something that is kind of known but not discussed from a lot of pastry chefs, and it is that the boxed Ghirardelli brownie mix is substantially better than almost anything that you make from scratch.
Wow.
Yes.
I love that. That's good. How accessible.
I know. It's wonderful. And like you can add little tweaks to it to make it better. Like a very common tweak is to use like strong brewed coffee instead of water to bring out the chocolate flavor more. It does wonders. It doesn't even really taste like coffee. It just brings out the chocolate. But
that's great.
In my mind, that's his recipe. He did this. He did this for us.
I love it. That's my headcanon. So Afros explains that Bythos teaches combat, and he does so with disgust in his voice, like, combat, which is great. Narrator Leo says, quote, Leo wasn't sure whether he felt relieved or insulted that the combat trainer was interrogating Frank while Leo got the home economics teacher. Leo, I think it does kind of track. Frank, big burly boy. You, garage man. It's okay.
You garage man.
Leo asks if this camp has a name. He guesses Camp Fishblood. And Afros, after saying that he hopes this is a joke, corrects that it is Camp _, where the underscore is sonar noise. Oh, no, wait, I should add those in. So he says that it's Camp.
Huh?
So Leo asks what Afros needs from him in order to not want to kill him. And Afros says, tell me your story. So Leo tells him the whole story. And while doing so, Afros takes out some metal spikes from his belt. And Leo thinks that he said something to offend him, but he starts knitting. And by the end of the story, he has made a baby bonnet.
So cute.
So
it's
cute.
so good.
I love it. I love this. I want to learn at some point how to do it because I love doing it as like an idle task. There's been a couple of people who like knit during TNO live shows and I love it. And people are like, oh, I hope you don't think I was not paying attention. Like, no. I totally get it. Like, I love to do like mindless things when other stuff is going on. And that's awesome. That's so cool. So when Leo's done, Afro says, very well, I believe you. And Leo is shocked that that's all it took. Afro says that he is good at sniffing out lies, and he found none in Leo's story. And also, it corroborates with what Hazel told him. So very straightforward.
Easy peasy. Isn't it so nice when they have a challenge and then they overcome it by just being normal? It's so nice.
So good. So refreshing.
Such a relief.
Yeah. Leo asks if Hazel's okay. Afro says that she's doing well and explains that his people had to take action earlier because their location is secret and their ship was being pursued by a monster of Quito, so they weren't sure if the demigods were on their side or the enemy side. Leo asks if the ship is okay. Afro says that it's damaged, but not too badly, as the Scolopendra withdrew after getting a mouthful of fire. Obviously, I gotta ask Dr. Moya about Shrimpzilla. Afro adds that Quito must really hate them if she sent that beast after them. So, Shrimpzilla is a big deal.
Big deal. Big deal.
Afro says, your friends are still above, searching for you, but we have obscured their vision. We had to be sure you were not a threat. Otherwise, we would have had to... ... take measures.
Fair.
So fair. Leo thinks this is fair. As the narrator, he's basically first saying, I don't think extra measures means make extra brownies. And he knows I should not mess with these people. We shouldn't get on their bad side because if even Captain Saltwater Percy Jackson can't detect their location, they must have very powerful magic going on.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Like, especially if we're like series 2 Percy,
Correct.
like he's solidified as competent and capable. So
of course.
This is formidable.
Yeah, he's got a PhD in water, so he would be able to find these people for
it's
sure.
the only thing he'd ever PhD in.
He got a PhD in water, maybe a master's in trash talk.
Yeah, I'll give him that. He took some electives in blue food.
Yes. I was going to say an undergrad in blue food. Same wavelength. Leo asks if they are free to go. Afro says that they can leave soon. He just wants to confirm with Bythos once he's done questioning Tank. Leo corrects to Frank. Afro says that afterwards they will send them back to their ship along with some warnings. And Leo asks what warnings? And then Afros, proving that he is Chiron's brother, just goes, and points to Hazel, who is walking out of the forest.
Classic.
They are related. She is completely fine. She's amazed by this place. Afros
she's
leaves
stoked.
Oh, hell yeah. Afros leaves them atop this hill. Hazel explains that everything went super smoothly for her, as they had never met a child of Pluto before, and they were very impressed about her bond with Arion. Narrator Leo says, quote, Hazel had promised to visit again with Arion. The mermaids had written their phone numbers in waterproof ink on Hazel's arm so that she could keep in touch. Leo didn't even want to ask how mermaids got cell phone coverage in the middle of the Atlantic. Great.
So good.
Love it. Narrator Leo notes that Hazel comes off as very sure of herself. She is not the shy, nervous kid from the New Orleans flashback just mere chapters ago. Leo says to her that they never got to talk about Sammy. Hazel says that she knows, but she also needed time for it to sink in. She worries that she'll never be able to explain the hand-holding situation to Frank, and Leo goes, don't worry, I already talked to him about it, and I smoothed things over. I assured Frank that I wasn't trying to cause any issues between them. And then Hazel goes, oh, period, good, period. And then narrator Leo wonders, did she sound disappointed? Leo wasn't sure, and he wasn't sure he wanted to know. Ooh. I feel like in the long run, the Leo being Sammy's great-grandkid is too weird for her to actually pursue it. I feel like she'll eventually... I feel like she'll eventually realize, I'm just holding on to this because you look like my ex-boyfriend, and it's more of just like lingering Sammy feelings and not genuine feelings for you. I feel like she's mature enough, even at her young age, to come to that realization. And it also feels like Leo, even though he thinks she's pretty and great, he seems to be under the recognition like, this is not for me to pursue. So I think they're going to be fine. I look forward to their non-weird, just straight up friendship, if that's how it goes, because they seem great and they seem to get along well. So that's cool.
It's also just not very Rick Riordan-y to like really focus in on and like center a plot on something like a love triangle. You know, like all of his characters are shockingly, despite being young children, like way too emotionally mature.
Yeah.
For that to like really be central to one of the plots. But I'm very excited to see how you feel as this plays out further. I think it's a very fascinating story. And I think it's one of those things where like he just brings such a specific perspective to these tropes that are very common in especially like this age range of fiction. He always has a spin that I think is very uniquely sophisticated.
Yes,
with things like this.
I agree. I love how he handles stuff like this. Leo then tells Hazel that Frank seemed incredibly spooked when he summoned fire in the cave, and Hazel says that makes total sense, and she begins to shuffle around in her jacket for something, the stick, and then Leo thinks about Frank mentioning the firewood and tells Hazel that he remembers an old legend about a hero whose lifeline was tied to a stick in a fireplace, and when the stick burned up, poof. Leo can read it on her face that this is indeed Frank. Very convenient that he heard this legend, but we move. He also guesses that Frank gave her the stick. Hazel says that she can't talk about it. Leo asks if the wood is okay underwater like this. Hazel says it's fine. It's also wrapped in plastic and cloth anyway, but she insists that she is not supposed to talk about it. She just wants it to be clear to Leo that if Frank is standoffish towards him, it's out of fear of fire plus firewood. It's not anything about Leo personally.
Probably, from Hazel's perspective.
Narrator Leo says, quote, he imagined being in Frank's position, his life so fragile, it literally could burn up at any time. He imagined how much trust it would take to give his lifeline, his entire fate, to another person. Frank had chosen Hazel, obviously, so when he had seen Leo, a guy who could summon fire at will, moving in on his girl, Leo shuddered. No wonder Frank didn't like him. And suddenly Frank's ability to turn into a bunch of different animals didn't seem so awesome. Not if it came with such a big catch like that. Leo, incredibly thoughtful.
Yes. That's my boy.
He's great. Leo then thinks about the line of the prophecy that haunts him the most. To storm or fire, the world must fall. He's long guessed that Percy or Jason is the storm, but he always thought he was the fire and thus a wild card. But now he wonders if Frank might have something to do with it. And I hadn't thought of this. I hadn't even thought of the other part either. So it's all very interesting. And I enjoy him thinking about this. And I find it fun as a reader for the book to throw so many, well, the prophecy could mean this or it could mean that at you, because it could go so many different directions and it really keeps me guessing.
Ain't that just the way with a prophecy?
You never know. You never really know.
You never
sometimes
know.
It's super literal. Sometimes it's a huge stretch. So,
Yep.
Yeah. Bythos then arrives with Aphros and Frank, who looks at Hazel and Leo like he's trying to determine what their conversation was about. Bythos confirms that they are free to leave, and he returns their confiscated belongings. He tells them to relay to Percy that they will save the creatures in Atlanta, which I think is good. I was wondering how they were going to go about that. Aphros suggests that they will send Cyrus to lead a team of Mer warriors. Bythos instead nominates Bill, and Aphros agrees that Bill would be perfect for the task. So great.
Classic Bill.
Classic Bill. He's so ready for this. Leo says they should talk to Percy in person because he's a son of Poseidon. And then the fish centaurs disagree, as sometimes it's best for them not to interact with Poseidon's kin. This is another question for me to ask Dr. Boy. Is this really a thing? They cite politics of undersea gods being tricky, but they insist that they do want to thank Percy. They tell the crew that they can hold off any of Quito's monsters that face them or head their way in the Atlantic, but once they get to the Mare Nostrum, all bets are off. They're on their own. Frank goes naturally, but Bythos encourages him, instructing him to continue practicing his fish forms and to try things like Portuguese man-of-wars instead of koi fish.
Maybe a little bit more helpful.
Little more fearsome. Aphros tells Hazel to visit again soon, next time with her horse pal. He then adds that he knows she must be worried about losing time on their quest for Nico. Hazel asks if they know where he is. Aphros says no, but when they get closer, Hazel should be able to sense his presence. So that's good. Aphros says that they must hold strong, as Nico must be saved. The trapdoor is intact. Bythos agrees, saying they need him on their quest. He can just feel it. Aphros tells Leo, quote, "As for you, Leo Valdez, stay close to Hazel and Frank when you reach Rome. I sense they will face ... mechanical difficulties that only you can overcome." Leo asks what? I'm wondering what. Aphros, of course, says nothing, but instead presents him with gifts.
Yeah, that's the same as information that's helpful.
Of course. They give them brownies, and they give the recipe as well. It's inside the picnic basket. You gotta love it.
Amazing.
These gifts also include a letter of intro to Tiberinus, or Tiberinus, I'll learn from Dr. Boya, the god of the Tiber River. He says that their teammate who's going to go out there, basically Annabeth, says that Annabeth will need it when they get to Rome. Leo asks why. Bythos says that Tiberinus can guide her as she follows the Mark of Athena. He says that the letter isn't a guarantee, but it should make him want to help her. And then the book ends the chapter with the following. Bythos produced 3 small pink pearls from his saddlebags. And now, off with you, demigods. Good sailing. He threw a pearl at each of them in turn, and 3 shimmering pink bubbles of energy formed around them. They began to rise through the water. Leo just had time to think, a hamster ball elevator? Then he gained speed and rocketed toward the distant glow of the sun above. And that is the end of chapter 24. Did you have a fun retitling for chapter 24?
It's got to be something about the knitting, no?
Oh, the knitting.
The knitting. Giant blue Arnold Schwarzenegger knits a baby bonnet.
I love it. I love it. I retitled it, I Get the Recipe of the Gods.
That's very good. That's very good. It's the
Good luck
Ghirardelli
throwing off
box
the
mix.
scent one. Of course, of course. But that is the end of this chapter. That is the end of this episode. Will, thank you so much for joining. This was an absolute delight. Great to have you on the
Thank
show.
you.
We'll have to have you back in the future. But until then, if people want to find you doing stuff, where can they find you doing stuff?
Yeah, you can find me. Probably the best way is just to go to hughouse.productions. Yes, hughouse.productions. That's the website of the podcast collective that I run. We're currently releasing an audio drama called Levian that is actually very seafaring-y, sort of Game of Thrones, but if it were more good to women.
Yeah.
It's wild. It's a great time. Highly recommend it. It's by Sammy Sweezy, who made Desperado. Yeah, hughouse.productions. I make things there.
Great. Well, Will, thank you for joining. Listeners, thank you for listening. And until next time, when we see how this bubble ride towards the surface goes, until then, I'll see you later. Hello! Thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Newest Olympian. This podcast is created, hosted, and produced by me, Mike Schubert. I also run the social media and the website. Our editor is Sherry Guo. The music is by Bettina Campamanes and Brandon Grugel, and the art is by Jessica E. Boyd. If you really enjoy the show and you just can't get enough, there's a couple of different things that you can do. First, you can go to patreon.com/The Newest Olympian, and you can get access to all sorts of bonus content that I post on a very regular basis. You also can find us and get involved in the community on social media. We've got an Instagram, we've got a Blue Sky, we've got a Twitter, we've got a Facebook, we've got a subreddit, we've got a Discord that's available to all patrons. If you want to support the show, you can get merch at thenewsolympian.com/merch. You can see live shows at thenewsolympian.com/live, and you can check out the aforementioned Patreon. And speaking of, I want to give a shout out to our highest tier, the Ultra God tier patrons who are helping to produce this show with their financial support. So shout out to Kelsey Gillespie, Vicky Garcia, Frida Vikstrom, Megan Moon, Polly Burge, Nikki Harris, Tatiana Schmidt, Sandra Rose, Josh Sayer, Abby Ryan, Marco Redhouse, Sam Reeby, Mrs. O'Leary, Milo Kim, Sandkopf, Rayla Matthews, Sky Mallory, Persasabeth, Aiden Parziani, Grace, Ginger Spursboy, A Cup of Solace, Bradamus Prime, Skylar Sisters, Scott Sheldon, Natanya Page, Ann M. Thayer Cohen, Bella, Percy Jacked Son, Han Haley Hingelheimer Schmidt, Catherine Sloan, Haley Mary, Jim Jam Koopy, Kit Kat Crumbs, Andrea, not Andrea, Jordan Ray, Nico's Black Vespa, and Zayden Wintergate. If you want to support the show in a non-monetary way, just spreading the show via word of mouth is huge. You can tell someone directly who you think would like the show. You could post about it on social media. You could leave a rating and review on whatever podcasting app you're using. All of these things really do help, and I really appreciate anyone who has done it in the past or will do so in the future. But I'm just so thankful that you tuned into this episode, and I hope you tune into our next episode where we'll be joined by Dr. Stephen Parra to break down chapters 25 and 26 of the Mark of Athena. But until then, I'll pursue you later. Hey, how's it going? It's me, ASMR Mike. So we have been snacking on all sorts of snacks that you can only get in the UK, or at least they're most prevalent and easiest to get in the UK. And I've got a couple here. Here is a bag of Walker's Prawn Cocktail Crisps, not chips, crisps. Delicious, love them. This is a box of Jaffa Cakes, the original. And then we have nine bags of Percy Pigs. And I don't just like them because of Percy Jackson. I like them because they're absolutely delicious. The best is the fizzy pigtails, obviously, but there's lots of other varieties. We've got a whole bunch of them to see how they are. But yeah, that's been a Snack ASMR Mike segment UK edition. Thank you so much for listening.